For CCR leaders, the challenge is rarely the definitions. It is ensuring that teams can apply these concepts consistently, interpret exposures correctly, and escalate issues early. This quiz is designed to test those foundational concepts, the ones every analyst, associate, and risk professional should know. This quiz is written by experts in the area of counterparty credit risk. It is a part of Intuition Know-How, a digital learning solution for finance professionals. Share this quiz with your teams and ask them to test their CCR knowledge. Question 1. Which of the following is a major factor that affects the types of valuation adjustments, or XVAs, that might arise from a transaction, other than credit valuation adjustments? A. Exchanging collateral. B. Use of a central counterparty. C. Credit spread of the other counterparty. Answer A. Exchanging collateral. Exchanging collateral is a major factor in determining which types of XVAs a transaction gives rise to. The use of a CCP effectively eliminates XVAs. Credit spreads affect the value of CVA, not other XVAs. Question 2. Party A has agreed to pay a fixed rate of 4.5% and receive floating in an interest rate swap with Party B. The notional amount of the swap is $10 million US, and market interest rates are currently 5.5%. Which party would be exposed to a potential loss if the other defaulted? A. Party A. B. Party B. C. Both Party A and Party B. D. Neither Party A nor Party B. Answer A. Party A. Party A would be exposed to counterparty credit risk on Party B. This is because Party A is paying fixed at 4.5%, which is below the market fixed swap rate of 5.5%. Question 3. What is the difference between counterparty credit risk, CCR, and credit valuation adjustment, CVA? A. CCR is the exposure a counterparty potentially faces upon the default of its counterparty, while CVA is the expected credit loss due to a default by its counterparty. B. CVA is the exposure a counterparty potentially faces upon the default of its counterparty, while CCR is the expected credit loss due to a default by its counterparty. C. CCR is the risk of loss due to a decline in creditworthiness, while CVA is the risk of loss due to the default of a counterparty. Answer A. CCR is the exposure a counterparty potentially faces upon the default of its counterparty, while CVA is the expected credit loss due to a default by its counterparty. CCR is the exposure a party potentially faces upon the default of its counterparty, typically calculated to 95% confidence by large U.S. banks and 97.5% confidence by large European banks. CVA is the expected credit loss a party faces if its counterparty defaults, typically calculated against expected exposure on a bilateral basis. Question 4. What is the difference of clearing bilateral derivative transactions on a CCP compared to not clearing? A. Clearing bilateral transactions on a CCP results in higher capital charges. B. Clearing improves capital charges but introduces new CCP-specific capital charges and funding costs. C. It is easier to calculate CCR. Answer. B. Clearing improves capital charges but introduces new CCP-specific capital charges and funding costs. Using a CCP improves capital charges because initial margin, variation margin, and netting ensure that CVA losses are eliminated. Clearing derivatives on a CCP reduces capital charges but does not eliminate them. Banks still incur trade exposure capital charges, default fund capital charges, leverage ratio exposure, CCP credit RWAs, and funding costs for MVA. Only bilateral CVA capital is fully eliminated on cleared swaps. Question 5. Which of the following would be expected to be the highest when assessing possible levels of exposure over the lifetime of a contract? A. Current exposure, CE. B. Expected exposure, EE. C. Potential future exposure, PFE. Answer C. Potential future exposure, PFE. PFE is the estimated positive fair market value, FMV, for a future date, modeled to a specified confidence level of 95% or 97.5%. This means it will be higher than EE, which is an average of positive possible FMVs at future dates up to the maturity of a transaction. CE is a measure of loss if a counterparty defaulted today and is included in PFE. Question 6. Which of the following would result in higher CCR when comparing two interest rate swaps? A. The use of a CCP. B. Longer tenor. C. A change in exchange rates. Answer. B. Longer tenor. CCR is likely to be higher for the swap with the longer tenor. The use of a CCP will eliminate CCR, not increase it. Changes in exchange rates do not impact the CCR for an interest rate swap. Question 7. Which of the following types of products incur counterparty credit risk as measured by potential future exposure? A. Interest rate swaps. B. Repurchase agreements. C. Margin loans. D. Commodity swaps. E. All of the above. Answer. E. All of the above. All of the above products incur counterparty credit risk. Interest rate swaps have dynamic credit exposure due to changes in market swap rates. Repurchase agreements and margin loans are collateralized by margin, which is subject to fair market value changes due to changing interest rates. Commodity swaps have dynamic credit exposure due to changes in commodity prices. Question 8. Which of the following reduce CCR exposure? A. Documentation checks by independent external legal staff. B. Legally enforceable netting agreements. C. Use of an internal model rather than the standardized approach to measure CCR exposure. Answer. B. Legally enforceable netting agreements. Netting is only permitted where a legally enforceable netting agreement, such as an ISDA collateral support annex to the schedule to the master agreement, has been signed and allowed under local laws and regulations. Documentation checks can be completed by internal staff, though external legal staff may be used to obtain opinions on enforceability. The use of netting to reduce exposure does not depend on the use of an internal model to measure the exposure. If you would like to develop yours or your team's counterparty credit risk skills, search Intuition Counterparty Credit Risk Academy. The Intuition Counterparty Credit Risk Academy is a transformative, skills-based learning journey designed to equip professionals with the advanced skills required to manage counterparty credit risk.